My name is Jasmine Blue. We have Rick Perez on the Acting Studio 101 YouTube channel. So we're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
What inspired you to start this journey?
Well, I got to say, my dad was a big inspiration to me. I mean, growing up in Brooklyn during the 70s and 80s was kind of tough. And to kind of dip out of that whole chaotic environment in those days, it was very gritty and, rough. My dad would always take me to the movie theaters at least once a week. And I guess my first experience was around 5 years old. He took me to see this movie that didn't really get much attention at first. It's called Star Wars. And who would have thought that so many years later it's one of the greatest movies of all time. And
right.
I mean, Disney agrees, but
yeah.
it was just a surreal moment for me as a kid, and just being there, a little guy looking in the audience and just watching everybody's face like light up, the emotions just coming out and pouring out. I said, you know what, man, I would love to be up there one day doing the same thing, And as a kid, I didn't know any better, but it was just something that I've always thought about, the genesis of it all for me.
What roles have you played?
Well, I haven't been doing this too long, just a couple of short years, but again, sometimes you get a kick in the right direction by just starting off with something and getting picked up and networking. As you know, that's how this business works. And so I started as a background extra in a lot of shows, featured, building myself up there, working with a lot of different actors and just learning, honing crafts, taking lessons wherever I could and picking up books wherever I could. And just learning the stage direction. I wanted to start as a background extra so that way I could kind of get the feel, the lay of the land, you know what I mean, in case things did take off. And so I started on Ozark, which was the first feature film I ever did with Jason Bateman. And, sometimes you find yourself on the editor's floor, but the experiences alone and working with some of these consummate actors has just been a true blessing. Of working with central casting with The Resident. So I was one of the core characters, and they actually gave me a title. They gave me a name, Dr. Brett Kilborn, 6 episodes. And again, I worked with so many different actors, just watching and learning and just picking up on whatever knowledge nuggets I can take every day home with me. And then finally getting signed to a great agency here in Atlanta called Houghton Talent. After my audition, I have just seen such great experiences, and they put me in front of casting directors and auditions for television, print, and I just, every door that closes, you find yourself closer to your goal. And sometimes you get some disappointments, but I'm just blessed right now and early on in my career as an actor, just to be blessed with so many incredible projects as of late.
Just putting yourself out there and working hard and just going for it kind of thing, like putting yourself in those environments so you're able to propel your career. That's awesome. Yeah. And I think there's something that has to say about that, because it's like persistence and not being afraid to, get the door closing or whatever, be like, okay, so what's the next, or what's the next opportunity? So I think that's really inspiring. What was your experience being on the set for Cobra Kai?
Oh, wow. That was a surreal moment for me, indeed. I was a fan of the show before I even got cast. And it's, without getting too deep, because I can't, but the fans really have created, I mean, this is just a worldwide sensation with this show. And we kind of knew there was lightning in the bottle there. We have the best writers. I mean, the big three, Josh Hayden and John Hurwitz. These guys had a passion, and they truly knew how to pay homage to such a great movie, the original Karate Kids, and they were big fans. And when they went to college together, they kind of scrummed and came up with an idea that they would always love to create, I guess, an extended universe of that original storyline. They've done such a great job. And they've given so many actors like myself, especially in Atlanta, the esteemed opportunity to be part of that great vision of theirs. And we're just very humbled to be such a small part of that grand vision of theirs. And we're just very fortunate. It was a surreal moment for me. And now that the whole world has seen Cobra Kai through Netflix, now they have to let that kind of marinate for a while and then bring out season 3. And it's going to be bigger than I mean, I can't wait for you guys to see it. It's going to be incredible.
How do you stay prepared as an actor when you aren't in a project?
Working with other aspiring actors, sparring, so to speak, making sure that I keep myself available to do, reads for auditions for other actors, and working with them too, because like an axe gets dull after a while. Nobody can ever say as an artist that you don't need any further training. You're constantly evolving, constantly working on your craft, and you need several tools in that toolbox. You need your Meisner, you need these different techniques, and especially
Exactly.
improvisation, because improv is a key component to this, so that you're ready and prepared for those auditions that come in, because you have to stand out. That is something that I've taken away from so many different actors I've interacted with over the years. They all say the same thing. When you go to your audition, how do you stand out? Because again, you could just spew back lines, but there's thousands of people in line doing the same thing. But how are you different?
What is the hardest role you've ever played and why?
Well, early on, I had played a lead cartel bodyguard in the reboot of Superfly. I don't know if you've seen it. It
Yes,
was
I
with
have.
Trevor Jackson a couple of years ago. And I had well, I don't want to give spoilers away for anybody that hasn't seen it, but we have a pretty interesting final scene with a huge, I mean, I was a huge fan of Issei Morales. I don't know if you know Issei. He's from La
Yes.
Bamba and so many other movies. He played
Yeah.
Del, the lead cartel, and I had done a scene with him. And just to be taking direction from him in the scene and just going with it. I mean, it was true Meisner in its purest form. I mean, that was a teaching moment for me and some of my fellow actors in that scene. But that was pretty difficult for me because early on I wasn't expecting him to kind of work through the scene the way he did, and working with it, he brought it out of me. It was truly a front row seat at a master class.
Opportunity to learn and to like kind of just like take everything in and run with it. I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
all experiences and everything that you go through, it's kind of like
right.
little footsteps and little building blocks in your journey and how you evolve and like what makes you an artist and an actor. And I think you said something earlier that was really important, was like your journey is always evolving.
Yes.
Your work is you're always going to have to be working and learning and taking everything in, because that's the way to grow and to get out of your comfort zone. So what is the most fun role you've ever played and why?
Oh, this one I'm doing right now. We're filming right now in Savannah, Georgia. We have a thriller that I'm working on right now. I play a co-star. I can't talk about it too much, but this is
Right.
by far probably the most uh, fun experience I've had, next to Cobra Kai, of course. Cobra Kai was a capstone in my short career right now, but this one here is a very interesting segue. Um, Again, like we had mentioned before, one door closes, another one opens, and this is just going to be an action-packed thriller that's going to be coming out hopefully, sooner than later, after
Yeah.
editing and everything is done. But this one here is definitely one for the records for me. This is going to be an interesting show.
What would your dream role look like?
Oh, I have it. It's engraved in my mind. Being that I was a big fan of The Godfather and Sopranos, I really feel that it's time for a Latino type series. And I'm pitching this
Yes.
now to Netflix. We need to get our Latinos on there. And I'm
Exactly.
talking
Represent.
like representing, but I'm talking about getting some raw talent that's out there that have been maybe undiscovered. Because think about it. Look at George Lucas. Did he know who Mark Hamill was? You had your
Yeah,
Carrie Fisher, your Harrison Ford, but these guys again, they took a chance with some of these folks early on, and who'd have thunk that these projects took off the way they did. But I really feel that we're really at the precipice of something great if somebody just creates some great content around the series with
I
Latinos.
agree.
And I'm talking, we would have like a prequel or genesis of you know the emergence of maybe, I don't want to say a cartel family in that respect, but something honorable, something worth mentioning, something that has a purpose, not so much on a dark side, but a series that just talks about family and things of that nature, but in a sequence similar to the way Sopranos was, with family surrounding maybe a crime story or something like that, The Godfather. But we need something like that out there, and I think it's time. It's our time.
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think there is a need for representation for Latinos and Latinas and that community, because, there's amazing stories behind that. And, sticking
Sure.
to our roots and showing that, like, hey, like, we're here, we have powerful voices, we need to be heard. I think that is an amazing venture that you're going on. And I can't wait to see that unfold.
We have a gentleman in our own backyard in Atlanta, Ozzy Aru. He has his own studios. He's a tremendous advocate for Latinos in film, and he's got one of the largest studios here in Atlanta, and he is producing his own films here. So I'd love to jump on board with him one day at some point. but it is happening. We're starting to get some buzz behind it, hopefully.
Yes, and that is also going back to like you putting in that work, you having a vision, you making that happen. It's like you go out there and you're like, hey, I have this vision, I have this need to do this, and making that, you know, come to life. I think that says a
Sure.
lot about you as an actor and the persistence and what it takes to, you know, be successful, and also, you know, show your voice and to brand yourself versus like waiting on a role or waiting on someone to be like, hey, you have this. You're making your own opportunities, which is,
Right.
it's
Right.
inspiring. What is your advice for aspiring actors?
Never give up. Never think that you're not worth it. If you're not getting callbacks, don't ever think it's because of your inability to book. You know, the casting director has their own mind's eye on what that person is to look like. It could be you may be too good looking, too tall, whatever it is, they already have an idea who they want, but it's not your
Right.
ability. Just keep honing your skills. Never give up. You're never too young. In my case, you're never too old. Uh, but this business is it's very tough. You have to have that persistence, but it only ends when you say it ends. So my advice to aspiring actors are just never give up. Always push forward. You're worth
Right.
it.
What is the film industry like in Atlanta? I'm curious.
Well, it's starting to open up. I was reading an email from my agent saying that we're looking at possibly 70% of theatrical coming back, and we're seeing a lot of auditions coming in. I've been seeing auditions almost on a daily basis now, which is very promising. Um, and a lot of we've been told that a lot of projects that were kind of shelved, in March or so, are starting to look for talent in October, starting October. So everybody's gonna be very busy. So that's a great thing just to, and we're talking from New Orleans all the way, this way. So we're looking at a lot of work coming our way. So keep your calendars open because we're gonna be very busy.
Yes.
They are looking for folks, and the next stars out there.
Hmm.
People are tired of looking at reruns. Reruns are good.
Yeah.
You're there, and I love them because you're learning, you're picking stuff apart. But we need to see some new content out there. So buckle up because the floodgates are going to open very soon.